One of the best features in my 1911 home is the crown molding in the entryway, but unfortunately the entryway in the basement was not blessed with the same attention to detail. And since we're turning the basement into a separate rental, I want the first impression you get to be just as grand as it is upstairs. So welcome to day one of DIYing the entryway in my historic home. Even though it's a basement, it does have great features like this arched doorway, the wide staircase, and a decent amount of natural light. But right now, this room is just a landing place for all of my tools and work junk, which means it constantly looks like a bomb went off. And that means step number one is to get this room completely cleared out. One thing I've learned about myself over the years is I have a really bad habit of pulling things out, using them, and then setting them down on the first flat surface I see, instead of putting them away. So open shelving for me is a huge no-no. So even though it might have worked for the previous owners, I know myself well enough to know it's gotta go. Plus, tearing this huge bookcase out will really open up the space so it doesn't feel as cramped. However, if you live in an old home, you know they're severely lacking on storage space, so that'll be a problem for future me to add storage back in somewhere else. And after a full day of disassembling this bookcase and dragging each individual piece upstairs to the trash, I feel like we're finally starting to get somewhere. However, I was not expecting to find water damage hiding behind this bookcase, so that's something we need to address in tomorrow's video. Because the whole vision for this room is bare walls dressed up with molding like upstairs, and water damage plaster is thy worst enemy to that vision. So come back tomorrow if you want to see how I fix that. I bought a house covered in mold, but that didn't stop me from seeing the potential it had, because the saying they don't build them like they used to is popular for a reason. So welcome back to day 2 of DIYing the entryway in my historic home. While some people choose to spend their money on nice cars or designer clothing, I chose to spend nearly $20,000 to get rid of the mold in this house before we moved in. And that choice made this over 100-year-old house actually livable again. Plus, I took that opportunity to ask the contractors that I hired every question I could think of when it came to mold and water damage. So that way, if I ever came across more of it, I could take care of it myself instead of having to hire them again. And the secret formula I learned from them is as follows. Scrape, clean, seal. Step number 1, scrape the affected area of all loose debris or visible mold. Step number 2, clean the area with a moldicide. I like to use cleaning grade vinegar. And step number 3, if you want to be extra, paint on a mold inhibiting primer. But water damage aside, I also added in power for an outlet, a new sconce, and then patched up those trenches with plaster. However, since the plaster repairs in this room were very extensive and I wanted to get rid of this horrible texture that was on all of the walls and ceiling, which would require skim coating every square inch of this space, I ended up hiring this task out. The contractor I hired took about 5 days to completely transform this room, whereas if I would have done it, it probably would have taken me closer to 3 whole weeks. So that was worth every single penny. But make sure you come back tomorrow because it's time to start bringing this room back to life with paint. I can't decide which is worse. A basement that's covered in red rubber flooring that collects every speck of dust, or severely water damaged plaster. Unfortunately, I have both to worry about. So welcome back to day 3 of DIYing the entryway in my historic home. This space has come a long way from where it started, and now it's time to prep for paint. But the thing about old homes is they are 100% covered in lead paint. Since the walls are now skim coated, they don't pose a risk, but the baseboards are chipping, so the lead paint is exposed. Just remember when you're working with lead paint, keep everything wet so there's no dust. Now that it's officially time to start putting this room back together, my first stop is Jones Paint and Glass. I picked out 4 off-white samples from their collection of historical colors, and while I was mulling over that very difficult selection, I realized that painting this entire room from top to bottom by hand was going to take forever. So I ended up going the route of using a paint sprayer to speed things up. The paint guy at Jones recommended doing 2 coats of primer on the fresh plaster. So for reference, this is the primer. It's very white, like an asylum. So I'm going in after with a warm white, more specifically Simply White by Benjamin Moore. And the method I use for picking paint comes directly from Nancy Meyer's daughter. She recommends using the same color on the walls, trim, and ceiling. Just have it tinted 50% lighter for the ceiling, and this tip has never led me astray. Now there was one last bit of inspiration I took from shopping at Jones, and it was this sweet portrait they had of their founder. So I did a little digging into the history of my house, so make sure you come back tomorrow if you want to see the history behind these portraits. Welcome back to day 4 of DIYing the entryway in my historic home. Let me start by saying I kind of regret the work I'm about to show you for one major reason. It's because I didn't add any crown molding before I hung all of this wall molding. I originally decided not to add crown molding in here because there are a few areas on the ceiling where I thought it might look weird because the ceiling doesn't meet at a normal corner. But now that it's been a few days and I can take a step back and look at it all finished, I can admit that was dumb and I was wrong. So let's just all agree to ignore the fact that I'm gonna have to go in, tear this all out, and redo it again in the very near future. However, the other major decision I had to make when adding the molding was whether to do it in 2 sections like this or floor to ceiling sections like this. And almost everyone said to do full length panels since it'll make the ceilings feel taller since this is in the basement. And you guys were 100% correct. Like, these basically look like cathedral ceilings now. As for the secret I've been keeping about these portraits for the past few weeks, here it is. This is William Jarvis Robinson and his wife Mary Ann Robinson, the very first owners of this home. To me, the most meaningful part of owning a historic home is knowing I'm just the next caretaker in a long, beautiful chain of lives that have passed through here. This house has sheltered so many families, created so many memories, and so much love. And now to be able to welcome William and Marianne back into the place they once called home feels like the greatest tribute I could ever give them. It's my little way of honoring not just the house, but the generations of people that have made this a home. So make sure you come back tomorrow if you want to see all of the finishing details I add to this space before the final reveal. The bright red flooring in my basement is giving haunted house vibes, and that's not exactly the vision I have for it, so welcome back to day 5 of DIYing the entryway in my historic home. I'm replacing all of the red flooring in the basement with my favorite LVP. Now, some people really hate LVP, but for a basement, I actually think it's the perfect solution because not only is it waterproof, but it also adds unparalleled warmth to an otherwise cold space. So I'm sorry if you love the red flooring that literally came from a Mrs. Fields cookie store in the 90s, but I'm getting rid of every last shred of it. I also removed the decades worth of paint and grime from all of the original hardware, and now the copper details finally get their moment to shine again. And the last addition to this space that required some elbow grease was this vintage dresser that I paid $65 for. It was busted. The finish was extremely chipped and damaged, and none of the drawers opened smoothly. But there's one product I use to save furniture in this condition that works every single time, and you can see it in action here. It's called Restore Finish, and it's basically a stain refresher. I personally don't like completely refinished vintage pieces because I think the imperfections are what give that old world charm. So a stain refresher is the perfect compromise because it just helps to bring the color back to life again. The top of this dresser did need a bit more attention though, so I did give that a quick sand and a fresh coat of stain and poly, which took it from this to this. And now this dresser looks nice and fresh again. But make sure you come back tomorrow because it's finally time to reveal the refinished entryway.